it matters what we take in. It matters what we watch. It matters what we listen to. It matters what we read, and it contributes to our mental health.
We talked about counseling, and you mentioned that, you've many times been to a counselor. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, if you guys have a good church, you have a good staff, and maybe you have, your, leader of women's ministries or the pastor's wife or someone who is trustworthy and who is biblically sound and solid. Right. Make sure you go to someone who really knows God's word and who will point you to God's word and not just give you a bunch of new age hooey, but go to someone in your church if you have that available to you. There's also a website. I'll put the link in the show notes, but are you familiar, Rachel, with the ACBC counselors? Mm-hmm. And so that's one that I have heard is a great resource. And I think, please don't quote me on this, I think typically you can get free counseling through these people who have been certified through the ACBC. And I don't even know what ACBC stands for, but we'll put a link to that in the show notes. And so maybe you can find an ACBC counselor in your area, and that can be a resource that's free to you that you might be able to utilize. I want to talk for a minute, Rachel, because I want to know what your take is on this, is on supplements and medications. And I heard Heidi St. John years ago, she talked about this, and she talked about how oftentimes as Christians, we're like, no, don't go on medication. If you're depressed, that can be, a crutch, and, you're not trusting the Lord and stuff. And she said, basically, if you had a broken toe, you would take a pain medication for it. Yeah. And sometimes it's necessary, I think, for us to go that route, or supplements. I've had family members who have taken supplements that have been really, really helpful. And these are natural supplements that God has created to help walk through these dark times. What is your experience with that and your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. There are times when we do need to have it can be a very chemical, physiological phenomenon to have both anxiety and depression. And so I think we have to just know, but again, I think your point about a reputable counselor, a doctor you trust, not just someone, you found in the Yellow Pages, of course, Yellow Pages, that dates me, doesn't it? Probably wouldn't be the Yellow Pages today.
How about a Google search?
There you go, a Google search. I would caution, I think, unfortunately, our culture has run far too often just to medication for just anything. So I think it does need to be done mindfully, intentionally, with a long-term focus. What are you going to do? I do not believe that it is beneficial to take medication unless it is in tandem with counseling. So I think that would need to be a both and. If you go to counseling, you may not need medication, but if you take medication, I would encourage you to pair that with a good counselor. And so that would be what I would say about that. I too have benefited from some supplements. And so I think the rush can sometimes be to the pharmacy. I would caution against that rush. I would try to be as intentional as you can be and take it slow so that you can get a good, reputable help in that regard.
Yeah. Agreed. And there are a lot of supplements that are available to us today that are perfectly natural and really, really can help. Yeah. So the other things are exercise. I know is a huge important factor in dealing with depression. And again, if you're thinking, okay, Yvette, I can't even get out of bed. How am I supposed to exercise? Rachel, you talked about just getting outside and walking or riding your bike, anything to get your body moving, because you need those endorphins. I know there's a whole lot of science behind this that I couldn't even tell you, but exercise, I know for a fact, is very, very helpful in dealing with these. And then sleep, that's another one that I know so many people are like, and again, I can't sleep. I can't get out of bed. I'm in bed, but I can't necessarily sleep because my mind is racing with all of these negative thoughts and lies that I'm maybe believing or trying to fight off. But if you can do anything to help you sleep, maybe that's drinking some sleep tea before bed, or turning off your devices, an hour or 2 hours before bed, whatever that might look like, try to get sleep, because if you're depressed and you're sleep deprived, that is a recipe for disaster. That makes it very difficult to reason through anything.
Yeah. And I'm just going to
really
back up a little bit and chase something that I think is really significant. I know that we have very little time left, but I think screens have a lot to do with this whole depression and anxiety thing. And so I think really taking an inventory of how much time you're spending on devices and screen, how much time are you looking at what you think everybody else is achieving and doing and how successful and blah, 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 everybody is, and everything that you're Googling and maybe what you're binging on. Look, if you're struggling with these things, I think more so than when you're not, but when you're not, you're still supposed to. And that's this. It matters what we take in. It matters what we watch. It matters what we listen to. It matters what we read. And it contributes to our mental health. And so I think it is worth taking a good long look at what are we looking at and what are we taking in. And I think it's easy to justify, oh, it's just a television show. Oh, it's just a movie. Oh, it's just a novel. Oh, it's just a podcast. Oh, it's not. Yeah. It matters. And I know for myself, I've talked about this in other contexts. There are things that there are social media that I don't go on to. There are things that I will not watch. I will not read. I will not listen to. And not just in the category of obviously not, but I know I can't and I shouldn't. And I wouldn't put that on everybody else, but know yourself. Know, is what I'm listening to, is what I'm taking in, is what I'm watching, reading, whatever. Is it contributing to my positive mental health or is it contributing to my problem? Right. And sometimes your husband might have more insight into that than you are able to. But boy, I don't think we can underestimate that. I think that they are very strongly related to this issue.
Yes, absolutely. And that was actually one of my next points. Was don't compare yourself with other homeschool moms, and being careful what we're looking at. I mean, that in every way can and will destroy us. And so, you are exactly who and how God made you to be. And so stop comparing, because that will just send you deeper and deeper into this pit.
Indeed.
And that again has to be very intentional. If you need to take all the social media apps off of your phone, delete them, because it's worth it. You are worth it. Your family is worth it. Take them off of your phone. Don't look at them. Maybe if you need to scroll through Facebook, do it when you're sitting in front of your computer, which is a little bit, at least for me, I know that takes more effort than just picking up my phone. But rid yourself of those things because they're not healthy and they're really not necessary for most people. So so thank you for saying that, Rachel. That's so powerful. Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.